Good afternoon and welcome. Excuse me, just let me just put my heater on in my craft room and it's just getting a little bit too hot in here. So let me turn that down. Good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for jumping on. My name is Michele Jutrisa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up here in New South Wales, Australia. Now I'm just noticing I've got a bit of glare on my glasses, so I'm sorry about that, but I will be facing my camera down to my desk in a moment. I hope you have had a great week. I just want to quickly go over a few changes that Stampin' Up have announced, and I will be sending out an email for those who get my email in regards to this. So there's going to be a few changes between now and next year. One of them is the cling stamps, the red rubber stamps. They will be leaving us. And the reason for that is that they're having trouble finding people that can manufacture them, or the people that used to manufacture them can't get all the ingredients, for want of a better word, or the pieces, or the I suppose the rubber and everything that they need to manufacture them. So they're going down the line of just doing the photopolymer stamps. So you will find between now and next year, or now and the next annual catalogue, that a lot of the red rubber stamps will be going. And as of the let me just have a look at the last catalogue that will include the cling stamps, the red rubber stamps, will be that September-December mini catalogue. So just be aware that that's going to be happening. Unfortunately, I do know a lot of people really like that red rubber, and it is a great stamp. I do too, but I mean, if we can't get the products to manufacture it, then there's not much we can do about that. So that will be leaving us. Now, that will bring up another issue, that if you're using photopolymer and Stays-On ink aren't really compatible. So the best thing to do is, if you're using Stays-On ink, and I have used Stays-On ink on my photopolymer, I haven't had any issues, but I do clean mine straight away, and Stampin' Up also recommend to do that. So as soon as you use your Stays-On, have your Stays-On cleaner. I would, if you don't have the Stampin' Scrub, now I've got one here which is an old one, and let me just turn my camera down. Or actually, I'll just hold this up. So that's your Stampin' Scrub. It's a double. This is an old one. The colour is slightly different in the new ones. I think they're slightly grayer. So you've got two foam mats on, or not foam, but what would you call it? It's like a velvet. It's got a little bit of a pile on it, two pile mats. You have one for your wet side, one for your dry side. And what I do with my photopolymer, if I'm using Stays-On, I put the Stays-On cleaner on it, clean it, and then I double clean it with the, again, it's an old bottle, the Stampin' Mist, and I will clean them again a second time with the Stampin' Mist and on my, as you can see, mine's broken, my cleaner here. So if you don't have one of these, they are available in the online store, and if you get that, make sure you do that. So if you're going to use photopolymer and Stays-On, make sure you grab yourself some Stays-On cleaner, which is this stuff here. I would actually clean it with this just to get rid of the Stays-On. Stays-On is going to stain it, okay? So don't worry, it is going to stain it. But what I do is I triple clean. I clean it with this to get rid of the Stays-On. I clean it with this to get rid of because this cleaner here has got like an oily base to it. So I clean it with that to get rid of the Stays-On. I clean that to get rid of the oily base, and then I run them underwater, okay? So if you do that, you will hopefully keep the longevity of your photopolymer stamps. But unfortunately, as I said, if we can't get the products to make the red rubber, then there's nothing much we can do about it. So unfortunately, they are going, and all these products are available in your and your catalogue or on your online store. You can still use your stamp cleaner, the little purple cloth one. That will still clean your water-based. But if you're using StazOn, just take extra precautions when using it. It's just a little bit more work, but, if you do that straight away, you're going to remove a lot of the products which could damage if it's left on long term. Okay, but don't let me scare you. It's not a big deal. Okay, Stampin' Up markers. They're going as well. There's been less and less people are using them, so Stampin' Up have decided that they're going to phase those out because the blends are more popular. And I must admit, I am going to use one today, but I don't use them a lot. So unfortunately, our Stampin' Up markers are going. If you really love them and you want to get them, they will be moving on the 20th of August to our last chance. Okay, so once they go into the last chance, they're only there available while stocks last. So grab them if you want them. Now, because we're changing our stamps all to photopolymer, our packaging is going to change. At the moment, all our stamps are in these boxes here, okay, and the photopolymer stamps are on it between two sheets. I've stuck mine onto the cover of this, but will be between two sheets of plastic. Now, they're going to be changing instead of having these boxes, they're going to be using envelopes similar to our die envelopes we get our dies in. They are going to be bigger than these. And I see the bonus of this is I don't have much storage for my stamps, so this is going to be really good. I have to change the way I store them a little bit. They'll still be in a bookcase, but I'm going to buy containers that that these will fit into, and I'm going to be storing these containers in my bookcase. So for me, it works out. I know for a lot of people it won't, but it will be changing. The boxes are still going to be available online if you want to purchase the boxes online, but eventually they may, okay, I'm saying may eventually go, and you'll be able to also buy extra envelopes as well. Now, the size of these is a lot bigger than this. They are going to be 14.3 by 22.9, so they're going to be, if you can see my ruler and see where my finger is, there's the size. So it's about another centimetre wider than these by around about 22.9 or 23. And they're about 4 centimetres taller. So they're going to be a bit taller and fractionally wider. So watch out for those, and you'll be able to buy them as well in packs of, now I did read this, packs of 10, and they will be available around about November. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time for those of you that do get my emails. You will, or my newsletters, will get that all in a newsletter anyway. So if you have any questions, please ask, and if I can't answer, I will find an answer for you. Okay, let's pop this down. Hi, Linny. Thanks for jumping on. I don't think I've said it today. If you're on here watching, please say hello. It's always great knowing who's on here, and I'd love to say hello. So let me bring up my desk view, and let's get started. Now, over the last 4 weeks, we have been creating Z-fold cards, and I've also added an extra one in here, which is one that I made with my lovely friend Linny. And I've added that into my collection. So I've actually got 5 in my little bundle of Z-folds, and I have got 5 envelopes. And we're going to make a box so we can pop those all into that box, and then that can be given as a gift or stored wherever you want to store them in a lovely decorated box. So this is my box template. So what I've done is I've just created a standard sort of box. I've made the lid slightly bigger, and I'm going to show you how I've done that. And I've actually not made the lid the same depth as my box. So I'm going to show you how we can create one of those. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing you need to do when you're looking at what size box you want to create, we need to pile up all our envelopes and all our cards all on top of each other and measure our height. Now I've measured that height there, and I have pushed it down a little bit, but not too much. You don't want to cram them into the box. You want to leave a bit there. And I've measured my height there of about 4 centimeters. Okay. And I've used actually this side here because this is popping up as my highest. So I've measured from the base to the top of 4 centimeters. So my box is going to have a 4 centimeter depth. Remember, when you are creating a box, and especially if you're putting envelopes, your envelopes actually are slightly bigger than your cards. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of paper, and we're going to jot down. Now let me find my pencil. Here we go. So as I said, we've got a depth of 4 centimeters. And then our envelope is bigger than our card. So we need to make our boxes at least the width of our envelope. Now I've made mine a little bit bigger. I've gone probably about 3 or 4 mils bigger on either side. Let me just double check, make sure I'm telling you the truth here. So just got notes everywhere here at the moment. Sorry about this. So I've actually gone 1/2 centimetre bigger on either side. So I'm making my box 12.5 centimetres in width. So we're going to have a width of 12.5. And if I measure the length of my envelopes, which is around about 16.5, and I want to go a little bit bigger than that. So I have gone, my length is going to be 12, sorry, not 12, it's going to be 17.5. Okay, so we've got a depth of 4 centimeters. So I've measured the height, I've measured the maximum depth, and of course remembering to add your envelopes to that. Okay, how are you? So I've got a depth through there of 4 centimeters, and as I said, I haven't sort of squished them because there's areas in the middle which are going to be thicker than others. So I've just basically taken that fairly naturally, and I've measured the size of the width and the length of my box about 1/2 centimeter bigger than my envelopes, or thereabouts. Okay, so my measurements that I've come up with, I'm going to pop that to one side, is going to be a length of 17.5, a width of 12.5, and a depth of 4.5. Now onto that, to work out our size of our pieces of a cardstock, I've decided with my lid is going to be slightly narrower. So I've got the depth of my main box at 4 centimeters, but I'm going to do the depth of my lid at 2.5. So that's going to be my lid depth. So what I've done is I've taken my 17.5 and I've added onto there. So my 17.5, and I'm going to add onto there 8 centimeters. Now this is for my box bottom. And I'm going to add on 8 centimeters. That's 4 centimeters on either side. Okay. And that is going to give me, so I have got it all written here. I might just bring what I've written in here in. So what I've got here, I've got my width, my length, my height. My cardstock is only 21 by 29.9. Okay. If you've got 12 by 12, you've got more to play with. So that's my maximum width of my cardstock is. So I've got my width of my box is my 4 centimeters plus my 4 centimeters, which is my 8 plus my 12.5, which gives me 20.5 centimeters. So that works in within that 21. So that's given me an extra 1/2 centimeter on the side that I need to cut off. My length is the same sort of thing. So I've got my 17.5. I've added 4 centimetres for each side. So my length is going to be 25.5. Now, because I've made my lid only 2.5 centimetres, and I want to make the base of my lid, so this part here of my lid, a little bit bigger, okay? Because I want that lid to come down on top of my box. I don't want to be cramming 2 boxes the same size, one over the top of the other. Hello, Annette. How are you? So I've made my lid 3 millimeters bigger. So whereas my box base, this one here, is only 12.5 centimeters wide, I'm making my lid 12.8. So I've got a depth of 2.5 plus my 12.8 plus my 2.5. So my width across is going to be 17.8. And again, my depth, which is going to be 2.5, that's 17.8, which has got an extra 3 mil on it, plus my 2.5 down, which is 22.8. So there, very quickly, how I worked out my measurements for a box. And I will put all these, how I worked all this out, onto my blog for you over the weekend. So I've already done some of the cutting for this. So what I've done is I've taken some Secret C, and I've already cut my lid and my base. So my lid is 12.8 by 17.8, and sorry, where have I got? No, let me go back on that one. So getting my measurements all over the place here. So my base is, as I said, okay, let's go. Base is 20.5 by 25.5, and my lid is 17.8 by 22.8. Sorry about that. Okay, I've been playing with this all morning. So I've already pre-scored this one, but I just want to show you what I'm doing with this one here. So this is my base, so it's the bigger piece, and I need the wall, the height is going to be 4 centimetres. So once I've cut that out, I'm going to score 4 centimetres all the way around. Okay, so make sure your cutting line is out of the road. Might just use up the measurements down the bottom there. So I've got this along the base here, and I'm going to make sure that my cutter is completely out of the road because I don't want to cut this. I just want to score it, and I'm going to score that a couple of times. And I'm just going to keep going around all 4 sides, scoring that at 4 centimetres all the way around, and that is just going to give us our height of our box bottom. Again with the box top, but this time I've only got a height of 2.5 centimetres, so I'm going to go around and score 2.5 centimetres all the way around. Now I've already done that on this one, so we can pop our cutter away for the moment. So then what you're going to end up with is your 2 pieces here. Now what we're going to do now is burnish each one of these. So if I grab my bone folder, I'm going to fold along all those score lines and burnish them, just going around all of them. So I'm going to very quickly do this. And then we're going to do the same with our lid. So just folding that down and burnishing all of those lines. Boxes are quite simple to make, or boxes like this are quite simple. You just need to make that lid just that little bit bigger, just so then you can easily fit one over the top of the other. Now what we're going to do, we've got all our score lines. We're going to go around and we're going to cut from this edge up, and I'm cutting it and leaving this tag here. So there's my box. This is my long side, so this is my side. and this is my short side, so my long side and my short side. All I'm doing is cutting up to that first score line. I'm not taking this off. We're going to leave that there, and all we're going to do is wedge out on either side of that tab. Now what you can do if you wanted to is just cut that in half, because we're going to need that tab to join our box corners up, okay? So we're going to go and do that. So we're going to cut that score line to that first score line. Just with this tab here, we're going to wedge out those corners there. And the reason why we're wedging those out is that just helps our boxes to sit nice and flush. And then when I'm just cutting off half of that there. Okay, so we've got 2 tabs with another 2 on this half to go. So let's keep going here. So we're going to cut up to that score line and then trim in. Now don't wedge out on these pieces here, because what this wedge does, let me just trim that down. What that wedge does, it just makes sure that when we fold this in and fold this piece up, that folds inside there nice and neat, and we can get a nice flush corner there. If we hadn't have wedged that out, you've got a straight piece, particularly going into this corner, and it won't sit nice, okay? It just gives you that little bit more allowance to make sure that everything goes to where it wants to go, or where it needs to go. So it's just so we can get a really nice finish. So don't wedge off this piece. You only want to wedge off the tab that's underneath, because we need that straight edge to line this straight edge up to this fold line here. And then we're just going to cut that half off. So that's half our box done. Let's grab the other one and do the other one. So we're just going to do exactly the same thing. Cut up to that score line and just wedge that tab. And I'm just going to cut a little bit off. I'm not cutting off as much on this one because it's not as big. Again, only on this long side, we're cutting into that score line and then cutting a wedge. Now it's up to you whether, when you make this box, whether you want to use liquid glue or whether you want to use tear and tape. Both of them will work well. The only problem with tear and tape, if you don't get the positioning correct straight away when you're matching the cut edge to your fold, you don't have any room for movement. Okay, so I like to use my liquid glue for this. So what I'm going to do is just fold these tabs in. I'm taking that glue a little bit up towards that fold, just for the, I don't want it to ooze out, but I do want it to hold on there. And I'm just going to take this cut edge here, so this squared edge here, and I'm going to fold that tab underneath and line up the cut with the fold. Now, you do want to hold that for a couple of seconds and let that dry, or if you've got something like paper clips, or I've got a few pegs here, and I'm just going to peg that down just to make sure that that dries like that. Again, I'm going to take that straight edge to the straight edge of my fold and line that up. Just pop a peg in there just to make sure that that stays. And then just do the same with all the other sides. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue there, and I find it much easier putting my glue on first on the two corners and then taking it in. Pop a peg on there. And this one here. Again, just folding that up, making sure those edges are flush against each other. Popping a peg on there. I almost threw these pegs away the other day, and then I thought, no, they will come in handy. So there's my first box. And then let's do our bottom box. So again, I'm taking my glue up to that folded edge. I'm doing 2 at a time, but I'm not taking the glue too far into that folded edge because I don't want it oozing out that much. Pop a peg on there to hold that. Again with that side. Whoops. Need to get that peg on there. I'll fold those two in and pop some glue on there as well. So I'm just going to grab that lid and put the lid on my glue because it's starting to dry out a bit. Make sure that they're nicely lined up. By the time you've finished your second box, your first one should be done, nice and dry, because it doesn't take too long for this stuff to dry. So if you put those pegs right into those corners, it'll make sure that those corners stay nice and flush for you while they dry. Okay, so let's bring in this one and take our pegs off. And there you go, there's our lid ready to be decorated. So I'm just going to move our box out of the road and bring in the pieces. Now, the top of this box, as I said before, is, what have we worked out? It's going to be 12.5 by 17.5. And this one here, the lid has only got 2.5 centimetre depth. So what I've done is I've cut a mat, and I've cut my mat at 12.3. Actually, sorry, that's incorrect, those measurements. Getting myself all tongue-tied here. Because I've made my lid that 3 millimetres bigger. So it's 12.8 by 17.8. So I've cut myself a mat at 12.3 by 17.3. So my mat I've cut out of the Darling Duckling. I am really starting to like this colour. And I think it's because I've been working on these projects. And that's going to go on top of there. Then I've also cut myself a piece of designer series paper, and I've cut this at the 12, works out as I wanted this piece here 3 millimetres smaller. So I've cut this piece at 12 by 17. So it's just that little bit smaller, the 3 millimetres, the same as what I do on my cards. And we're going to adhere all that together. So we're just going to adhere those two pieces there together. So my designer series paper is 12 by 17. My mat is the 12.3 by 7.3. So it's about 0.5 centimetre narrower than my box. Now, if you wanted to, you could even cut yourself a piece of designer series paper to put into the middle of your box, which I might do as yet. Which give your box a really nice finish on the inside as well. And actually, I might do that, so I might cut that now. So let me just grab my designer series paper. Because this box can be used later on and re-gifted, or, you want these things to look pretty. Now, what I would say is when I cut this paper, just make sure your paper is all going in the right direction, okay? You don't want necessarily have your paper going in the wrong direction. Now, I'm going to make this piece here the same size as I made. Okay, what have we got? I'm actually going to make it the same size as I made the mat, which means it's going to be 2 millimeters because remembering my base box is slightly bigger. So this is 12.5 by 17.5. And the mat I made for this is 12.3 by 17.3. So it's going to be 2 millimeters. I don't want to do it tight inside, but I do want to have it a little bit in from the edges, and I think that's going to work quite well. So what did I say, 12.3 by 17.3. And then this piece here, theoretically, let's take these pegs off. Should fit nicely on the inside. So it's just going to fit in there with just that little bit of room movement. There's not much there because that's only 1 mil on each side. So it's just going to be a nice little snug fit, but just underneath snug. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue on there. So I've decided I want to give this as a gift for Christmas. So I really want this to look really pretty. And then that can go in there, which is just going to decorate that inside of our box just nicely. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a rub in there to make sure that glue is all around. So there's our box. Now our envelopes should fit in there and our cards will fit in there with plenty of movement and room in there, okay? And I haven't done it so tight that those, if you want to pop another 1 or 2 cards in there, you've still got room for that as well. Let's just check our lid and make sure our lid is going to fit on that nicely as well. And that does. So that's going to fit nice and snug in there as well. So now we're going to decorate the top of this. So we've got our matted piece there. And the only thing I haven't showed you on all the cards is the ribbon that you can get with this bundle. So I've got the ribbon here. Before I glue this piece on, I want to pop some ribbon onto it. So I'm going to give myself a fair bit to play with. And I think it's going to be about that much. And what I'm going to do is now this is a double-sided ribbon, so you've got a green on one side and gold on the other. And I'm going to have the gold side up, and I've just realised I probably haven't cut myself enough ribbon. Oh, I'm having one of those days, I think. So let's just go double the amount. It's not going to go all the way around the box, but I do want it to go all the way around there. And I'm going to pop a little bit of double-sided tape on the back of that. I don't need to put much, and it's going to get covered. So I'm just having a look. Let's see if I can find my double-sided tape. So I need to make sure I've got my pears going the right direction. And I'm just going to pop some double-sided tape just probably about there. Just want to put a little bit there so when I pop the ribbon onto that, I'm not going to have much movement. And then should be able to tie that in a bow when I'm ready to tie that in a bow, because I'm just going to tie this on top. So it's not going to have the ribbon wrapped all around the box, but it is just going to be on top there. Now, before I go any further, I want to decorate the sides of my box. So I've got a piece of cardstock and a piece of my designer series paper. And what I've done is I've cut this piece here 10 centimetres in width, and I've just realised I've probably not cut this one here wide enough. Oh no, because I'm not doing it on the bottom. I'm only doing it on the top. I'm not decorating the bottom half of the box. I'm only decorating the lid. So I've cut this length here at 17.3. Double check my measurements by 10 centimetres, which is my longest length. So I've cut it at, yeah, it's 17.3. And I've cut it by 10 because I want to cut 4 lots of 2.5 centimetres. So bring my trimmer out. And this is just the easiest way I find to cut it, is I want to cut, now 2.5 is my depth. I want to take that back to 2 because I want it 0.5 centimetre, 2.5 mils on either side. So I'm going to cut 2 at that length. Now that's because that is my longest depth of my box. So I'm going to cut another one at 2. And then I've got my narrower side of my box, and I'm cutting these about the same as my mat, so it's going to be 12.3. And I'm going to cut another 2 at 2 centimetres wide, and that's going to give me my mats for my side pieces. A bit left over. So it's going to give me my 4 mats. Then I've got my piece of designer series paper. Now I've looked at this and I've gone, I want my pears still going down in the one direction. So I've cut this at about 10 centimetres wide. I won't need the whole 10 centimetres, but I've cut it about 10 centimetres wide. And I've cut this at 17. So I'm just going to double check myself. Yep, I've cut that at 17. Now, my mat pieces for my sides, I've cut it at 2. So what I want to do is I want to cut these at 2 minus my 3. So I want to cut this at 1.8. So that's about, no, 1.7, sorry. So we want to cut 2 of that, 1.7. 1.7, so that's 3 mils narrower. Then I'm going to cut this piece down to the 12. Now I'm just going to have a look at it. Which side do I want? I think I want those flowers. So I'm going to go 12 there. And then I'm going to cut another 1.7. And 1.7. Instead of cutting your lengths all at, say, cutting lots of strips at your 2 centimetres or your 1.7, and then trying to cut down those little narrow strips down to your 17 and your 12, I find it much easier to cut it in a wider width. I've got more control of my paper going through my trimmer. So that's why I do it that way. So I'm hoping I haven't confused people and that you can understand the reason why I've done it that way. Now I'm going to adhere all these strips onto these pieces. So I should have 2 for my back and my front, and 2 for my sides in each one. Not that you can really tell the pears are going in the direction they're going, but yeah. I'm just trying to make sure that everything's going in the same direction. So now we're going to glue all of these strips here together. Now, if you wanted to lighten these mats a little bit, of course, you can use the white core, the two-tone cardstock. I just wouldn't make your box in the two-tone cardstock, just the fact that it's not quite as heavy. You could probably do your lid in the two-tone, but your base, you'll probably be a bit heavy, bit better having it in a slightly heavier cardstock. So I'm just popping those on, just leaving that little bit of a border around. This is just going to give a really nice finish to our box. So I hope you've enjoyed all of this on our Z-fold cards. I'd like to know whether you found this helpful or not, because if you do, then I'm sure I can do other projects working on other fun folds, because I've actually found it quite fun working with fun folds. I'm just giving these all a good press just to make sure that glue is all pressed on. And now before I pop this on there, we're going to add these to our boxes. So let's start by doing our sides. So again, you can use your glue. Of course, your tear and tape will work quite well with this as well. Just making sure I've got good coverage. I'm not taking my glue right to my edges because I don't want it to ooze out too much, but I do want to make sure that I do move this around a little bit just to make sure I've got that glue pressed towards those edges. And this will just give the sides of your box a little bit more sturdiness as well. So that's that side. There's our next side. Thank you, Kay. Okay, one more side to go. Whoops. So there's our sides of our box done, and that's going to look like that on our box. Now, if you wanted to decorate the base part of your box, there is a bit of movement in that. I mean, I probably could have made that lid a little bit tighter, only gone 2 mils bigger. So if you wanted to add some decoration to your side of your box, of your base of your box, you could. I don't know whether I would mat it or maybe just keep it the plain just without the matting, but I quite like having the difference between the two boxes anyway. Okay, so there's our box there. Now we've got our lid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some multi-purpose glue on this. And then we can add that to our box lid. Just giving myself really lots of glue there just to make, so I want this to make sure it glues down, but I don't want to go take my glue too much to the edge because we don't want it oozing. And I haven't tied those as yet, so I just got to be careful that they're not in my road. Sometimes doing this is good with when the box is all together because you've got something to hold on to. Okay. Now, I have already pre-cut some bits and pieces because I do want to do a bit more decorating on the top of my box. And I've cut out a piece of basic beige using the textured note dies, and I have cut out one of these dies. So it's the same die I think I used on, actually no it isn't, slightly bigger than what I've used before because that's the one I've used before. So I've gone a slightly bigger size, but that's okay. And we're going to pop that onto there. Now I'm going to glue that straight down because what I'm going to do is I'm going to, actually first off we're going to tie a bow. But what I want to know is I'm going to pop that down there. I want to tie my bow, but I want my bow here at the side. Now there's different ways you can do this. You could put this on and then tie it. That's moved a bit. You could put just a piece of ribbon across and tuck it under. You can do it like I've done it here and then tie a real bow, or you can tie a faux bow, because if you put a ribbon across, you can then just I'm just going to pop a glue dot underneath that just to hold it. Yeah, you could do a faux bow, or you could do what I'm doing, do a real bow. I'm not having much luck today with talking and thinking all at the same time. Don't know why. Okay, so I'm just using this as a guide, and I want my bow probably around about there. So I'm just going to pop the glue dot there. I'm going to take that out now, and I want that knot to sit on top of that glue dot. Just want to pull that up a little bit there, push down, just so then that holds that nice and tidy for me. And I want to tie this bow. Now I like tying my bows upside down, just for the fact I think I get it better. Just be careful you don't pull your ribbon too tight like I'm doing. Making sure that that's there. Sometimes I get a better bow if I tie it upside down, so I want my tails going that way. Now, because this has got double-sided, when you do a bow like this, you end up with one side of your bow being in one colour and the other being in the other. So what I'm trying to do here is just twist my ribbon so I end up with, I didn't quite twist the way I want it. Twist my ribbon and make sure I've got my gold upright, which I haven't got. Oh, it's not playing nice. Come on. So I've just twisted my ribbon and I've got that glue dot. I'm trying to get my gold to sit upright. Now there probably is a better way of tying your bow, so then you get your gold showing both sides, but this is just the way I do it. And I want to, and this ribbon isn't playing overly nice because it is a little bit stiffer. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm trying to get that gold the same. Fold it out. See if I can twist it out that way. No. It's the ribbon. You're going to have gold on one side and green on the other, and I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. It's not the easiest ribbon to work with because I want a smaller bow than that. It's better on that side. That's better. Give that a good tight pull. That's not really wanting to go where I want it to go either. It'll just have to do. I'm sure the person I'm giving it to won't be that worried. Let's just see, am I going to have that where I want it to be? So that's going to go on top. You know, after all of that, I'm going to do my bow. I'm not happy with the way that's looking. I'm going to cheat. Take that glue dot off if I can. This is just how I roll sometimes. Sometimes things don't just quite work out the way I want. I'm just trying to very gently pull that off. Get rid of that. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a faux bow because I'm just not happy with the way that was looking. So I'm going to cut that there. Get rid of that excess. Cut that there. Get rid of that excess. And I'm going to grab another glue dot. This is going to be joined up, and it's going to be joined up underneath that tab on top, so that's fine. And I'm just going to use glue dots just to join these. If I was doing this if I was doing this again, I would just go across the top and adhere it underneath, but we're doing it this way now. And then that excess there can get cut off. Just wasn't happy with the way that bow was tying. That's okay. We can still do a bow. We're just going to do it differently. And then that's going to go on top. And we're going to pop that up on dimensionals. Hello, Leslie. How are you? Hello, Sharon. Okay, so I'm going to pop a few of these on here. Just going to put one more there. No one's going to know that I was fiddling around, not happy with this. So that's just going to give us that little bit of height over the top of the ribbon, but also on our box. And now we're going to do a bit more decorating. So what I have done is I have pre-cut the pears. So I've one of the designer series papers in this suite. Let me grab it for you. This one here. You can actually die cut with the dies, the pears, the two little pears, the leaf that go and stem that goes on top of the pears, and you can die cut these little flowers here. So what I've done is I've cut a couple of these pears, a couple of the stems, and some of these little pink flowers. So I've done all of that. I've got them there, but what I've also got within the dies, you've also got this little piece here as well. So I want to add this onto there as well, but I want to put a little bit of colour on that. So I'm just trying to see whether I've got a little bit of Darling Duckling here. Don't want to add too much colour onto this. Could also use that splatter. So the splatter might work better. There is a stamp in here. There is a splatter stamp. I'm going to grab it. Because this is almost a non-stamping project, making this box. I'm not stamping any sentiment or anything on it, but just doing a little bit of stamping, and I'm just going to stamp off a little bit because I just want to pop a little bit of colour onto this. And I'm just adding just a few random splodges of colour on that little bit there. Just so we can bring in a little bit more of that Darling Duckling. So let's just do a little dry fit, and that will just highlight that a little bit more as well. Yes, it stopped raining, Leslie. It hasn't rained much today. Rained constantly yesterday, and the day most of the day before was on and off. But nice today. Still a bit cold and a bit damp. We're supposed to be having a coldish weekend, I think. So I've got 3 pairs here, but I've got 2 stems, so I'm only wanting to use probably 2. Not quite sure where that's going to go yet, but I was thinking that one could go, it's going to come out from underneath. That can go there. Now, this has got a lot of white line around it. If you're not happy with having a white line around it, what you can do is grab something like the Stampin' Up marker. You can use your blends to do this as well. And you can run around your edges, just colouring those edges in. Now, the colour I've got here is Smoky Slate. It's just a very light, any light colour. If you just want to take off a little bit of that whiteness, but that's just really if you've got a little bit of white edge. It's not colouring that white around it, but it's just giving like the white between the pear and the cut edge. It's not taking that whiteness off, but it's just taking a little bit of the whiteness around those cut edges there. So we're just running it around those fine edges. But you can do this also with your blends as well, and that just takes a little bit of the white off, stark white off a little bit. So I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to do it on this one. Actually, I've done it on that one, so I'll use that one. Got to look at these pairs because they've all got slightly different tones to this one. This one's more green, that one's more yellow, and this one's got a little bit more of a darker colour in there again, a third colour. So each of the pairs are all slightly different. So I might just do all 3, and then I can work out which one I want to use. Done that one. This one here I haven't done. And if you do this, I would do it with the printed side facing towards you, because then if you do slip, you're going to slip towards the back and not towards the front as much. So how's the weather been where you are, Leslie? And everybody else, how's the weather been at their place? Have you had rain or... Whoops, just did what I said. Don't try not to do. Just drew on the front of it. Sometimes the case it's a do what I say, not what I do. Okay. I'm not going to worry about doing this on the flowers because the flowers are a pink and you really want some of that crisp whiteness. This just sort of helps giving you a little bit of that not so clean look. Many years back when I did paper towel, this is something I was taught to do. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Now, I was only going to put 2 pairs, but I've just realised, as I said before, my pairs, I've got 3 different coloured pairs here. So, could do 3, we could do 2. Let's just work out. Might need to cut another one of these. Do we need to cut another one of those? Okay. Then I've got 3 of these cut. It's just a dry fit at the moment. Very much like us. Okay. Don't know yet whether I want the 3 pairs. I might only need the 2. I was thinking of popping that down the bottom more. Want that darker pair at the back and the lighter pair at the front. One up higher than the other. Could always cut another one of those, but I want to add... I think I'm liking that. I think what I want to do is pop this piece on first. I could be here all day playing if I just don't start gluing things. So I'm just going to add little dabs of glue. Come on, this is a new bottle. So I'm just going to add just a few little drops of glue. Don't need much. And I want that going into that corner there a little bit. Now it's which pair do I want? So I've got that pair and that one. Or that one. I think I like the green one because it's going to be at the back, so it's going to give a little bit more shadowing. So that pair there is going to go glued down. I'm just popping glue in the middle so I can slip things in and around it. So I want that sitting there. This pair I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. So I'm just going to use 2 dimensionals for the moment. Again, more in towards the centre. Might move that one across a bit more. And this one here, I'm going to glue down. Or maybe I shouldn't have done that. Actually might pop that up on dimensionals. So I'm going to pop a dimensional on top of each of those glued spots. Just think I want a little bit of height. That's going to come across there like that. But I'm going to add a little bit of glue. So I've popped a dimensional on each of those leaves. So I've just got a scrap of paper here. I put a bit of glue on there, and I'm just going to tuck that in, add a bit of glue underneath there, and just push that down and hold that down for a second. Because I want the leaves to be sitting up and that to be coming down. Then I'm going to do the same sort of thing on this one, but I'm going to use the mini dimensionals on the back of this one. And I'm just popping the dimensionals there. Now you could have also shaped these leaves with the ball stylus. Again, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on that one. In the same sort of spot. Hold that down for a second. Just so then that can adhere. Now we just want to pop a few of these in and around inside here. So I want these to go inside and maybe even on top of some of these leaves. So I'm going to actually just glue that there. And that's going to go underneath that, but sit up on that leaf. What I might do is bring that in. So I've tucked it in underneath that bottom pair there, but I've lifted it up on the top of that leaf there because I wanted to have a little bit of dimension there. And I'm just going to use my scrap, put a bit of glue on the back of that. Now I'm happy where that is positioned, and that can be glued down onto there. So I'm just holding that down for a second. So I've got 3 of these. So I've got one there. I'll do a similar sort of thing, but coming over the top of that there. So again, I'm just going to put some glue on that. And just turn these so they're facing in different directions, so you're not getting the same flowers sticking out each time. So that one can go there. Because of these have all sort of, yep, I like that there too. Because they're like this one here has got this indentation, you can easily sort of tuck and lift. And again, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue underneath there. And then we should have a little bit of bling. We are giving this as a gift. And I'm going to use the Secret C for this. Big and small. Big and small. Oh. Nothing is liking me today. I'm going to pop that one on there. One there. So we need another cluster of 3. So I'm going to pop 1, 2, maybe a cluster here. They're not wanting me to pick them up today. And another one there. Okay. So there's my completed gift box. I'm sorry for all the fussing around. But there you are. Okay, so the rain has stopped. Overcast and cold. Yeah, they said on the radio, on the news last night that the rain will stop, but we're still going to have a few cold days. So that was on our local news, but on the Sydney news said it was going to be warming up, but whether it will or not, I don't know. But, we'll wait and see. Stick my head out the door tomorrow morning and see what the weather's like, but it's still quite cool outside. So again, there's my lovely box. We've decorated the sides. Our lid just slips down on that nicely. You don't have to struggle to get that on at all. We've got our 4 cards we've made over the last 4 weeks, and I've added a 5th card, which is a card that I did with Lenny and some other friends, and different type of Z fold, but they're all Z folds that we've covered over the last few weeks. So I will put all the measurements and everything that I've used for my box. And of course, you know, change up the papers, use different papers, create your own boxes. But that's just a really nice basic box, and it works really well with that A4 paper. I will see if I can do measurements for the Imperial using letter size and see how I go. I won't know because their cardstock measurements are slightly different. But with ours, that's how it works. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and thank you very much for joining me over the last 5 weeks while we've been doing this project. Not sure yet what we're going to be doing next week, but hopefully over the next few weeks we might do another collection and maybe another style of box, because there's a lot of different styles out there that we can do. Maybe something for Christmas. Maybe we can do some Christmas card ideas and have it all boxed up. And, of course, if you don't want to give cards in a box, you could easily take the cards out and just add a gift in there as well. But it just looks so pretty with the paper also in the bottom of it. So that alone filled up with different goodies and bits and pieces could look very nice as well if you're giving that to somebody as a gift and fill it in. And let me just see if I can bring this out a little bit. I've been playing with this morning. You can see the mess on my side of my table now. But there you go. So there's our lovely box. So I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I hope you have lots of fun, whether it be creating or doing family things. But take care. Have a lovely day. And again, thank you for joining me over the last 5 weeks. It's been wonderful. So I'll catch up with you all another time. Bye for now.